Hello, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the TOEFL study plan. We're going to be talking about session number 4, reading. Eid Mubarak. Eid Mubarak to you as well. Is it the conclusion of Ramadan right now? Is that what's going on? Okay, congratulations. That's awesome. Hope everybody has a happy family time if you're celebrating that. So yeah, we actually had a lot of homework, so I think we should probably just dive into it. Let's just dive into it, everybody. So the homework was a total of 4 reading passages. I don't think we have time to talk about all 4, but we will try our best. So here we go. Any volunteers for these first 2 ones? Let's go to Suvajit. All right, Suvajit, just kind of, what does the word relatively mean here?
Relatively means comparatively.
Yep, very good. And then this is clearly a factual question. What's true of changes in the Earth's landscape?
Yeah. So here I chose D. They occur quickly in geological terms, and the evidence is the passage says, but relatively rapidly when compared to the great age of the Earth.
Yep, there you
Because
go.
they change rapidly. Yeah.
Agreed. So here's the evidence right here.
Yeah.
But rapidly,
Yes.
right there. And of course, remember when we say that this is just a vocab game? What's the vocab game here? Rapidly matches with what word?
So it's quickly.
Yeah, it matches with quickly. Exactly.
Quickly, yeah.
All right, very good. So, TOEFL is just a game, and that's basically how you play this game, just like that. It's just a vocab matching game. Here we have a rephrasing sentence. So let's look at the first idea. Hills and mountains are often regarded as the epitome of permanence. So what does that mean? It means that hills and mountains look permanent. They look permanent. So B looks pretty good. They seem permanent. In fact, that's the only one that includes that idea. I wonder if that's the correct answer. Successfully resisting the destructive forces of nature, but in fact, they tend to be relatively short-lived. And here we go for a relatively short period of time. This one's actually a pretty easy example because, as you can see, the only answer choice that really matches is this one here. They seem permanent. That's it. It's the only one that has that idea. So this one's pretty straightforward. Number 4 is an inference question. What can be inferred about the mountains of the Himalayas? So let's see what it says about the Himalayas. So the Himalayas are right here. So the first piece of information, it says the higher a mountain is, the more recently it was formed. For example, the high mountains of the Himalayas are only about 50 million years old. So the Himalayas are kind of young, at least in comparison to other mountains. Let's see, their current height is not, no, that's wrong. At present, they are much higher than the mountains of the Caledonian Range. Okay, I don't know. They were a uniform height about 400 million years ago. Nope, that doesn't make sense either. They are not as high. No, they're higher than the Caledonian Mountains. So we're just using a little bit of process of elimination, and the correct answer has to be B. At present, they are much higher than the mountains of the Caledonian Range. Cool. Any questions about either one of these? In the third question, can you explain why option C is wrong? So option C says that the resistance is for a short time. But if you actually look at the sentence, the thing that is the short time is the hills and mountains, the life of them. So C doesn't say that. C says the resistance is for a short time. And as you can see from the highlighted sentence, that's not what they're saying. Let's go to Diana. What's up, Diana?
Yeah, Greg, number 4.
Sure.
You said, yeah, they're young. Okay, so how I approach this one, I was thinking, like the taller, the younger they are. Okay, so it's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Okay, but I was confused because I didn't know like they were a uniform height about 400 million years ago. Where is the evidence?
Right, there is no evidence, so I eliminated it.
Yeah. So the same applies to the rest, like the D, as high as the Caledonian. There is no comparison, right?
Well, A has evidence. and they say the height is an indication, right? See how this says not, so that's out. And we know that they're taller than the Caledonian Mountains, right?
How do
Okay.
we know?
Oh, this was 400 million years ago. In that case, no evidence, right? Yeah, no
Yeah.
evidence. Yeah. Okay. Well, actually, we do have evidence. It says they were the same size as the modern Himalayas, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, in fact, they were equal to each other. So this is going to be wrong as well. So, if we go to B, though, do we have evidence that they're taller than the Caledonian Range? Not direct evidence, which is why they call it an inference question. See how they call this an inference question right here? But it does say 400 million years ago, when the present day continents, blah, 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 the Caledonian chain was the same size as the modern Himalayas. So, what does that mean about now? Now it is shorter, now it is smaller. So, that's the inference right there.
And the A, their current height is not an indication of their age.
It actually is an indication of their
It
age.
is,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So, that's why I eliminated A.
Thanks.
Yep. All right, let's go to number 5. According to paragraph 3, one cause of mountain formation is the. So, this is a detail question. What do you want to do in a detail question? You want to rephrase it. That's going to be the best idea here. Identify it as a factual question. So basically, they're just saying, what is one reason for why mountains are created? Let's take a look. Some mountains were formed as a result of these plates crashing into each other. It looks like C, force of crustal plates hitting each other. Again, that's just the vocab game, the vocab matching game. Crashing into each other is going to match hitting each other. It all works out. Easy enough, easy enough. Number 6, what kind of question is this? What kind of question is this? Why does the author mention? This is what we call an author's purpose question. Any volunteers for this one? This author's purpose question? Suvajit?
Yeah, hi, Greg.
Yep.
Yeah. So in this question, they use this word term carbon dioxide uh, in order to in order to just explain the origin of the chemical that can erode the rocks, because they said that the air reacts with the rainwater and they chemically attack the rocks. Attack means they erode the rocks actually.
Right.
And chemically means that the chemical matches with the option as well. And
Yeah, where does it talk about the origin of the chemical?
Then continuation of this, they said that the rainwater seeps underground, and these springs are sources of the streams, of the rivers and streams and rivers.
No,
So
I mean the
sources is-
origin of the chemical. So the
Okay.
chemical is going to be the acid right there.
Yeah, weak acid.
Yeah, where does it talk about the origin of it? What word? Remember, this is kind of like a vocab matching game kind of thing.
Yeah.
So to form means to create, right? Or sorry, the origin means the creation of it, right? So here, right here, do you see the word forming?
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, that's going to match with origin.
Actually, to be honest, I didn't actually focus on the origin of the chemical. I just read the line, and they said that they may chemically attack the rocks, and I just read that they can erode the rocks, and I chose.
That's a
A on
pretty
the basis
dangerous
of that.
game. That's a pretty dangerous game. Yeah. So
Maybe I got
yeah,
lucky.
remember, for A to be correct, everything has to be correct. Is the author
Yeah.
explaining something? Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, the origin of something? Yes. Is it the origin of a chemical? Yes. But yeah, you are correct. The correct answer is going to be A here.
Yeah, and even if we do POE,
Yeah, you can do POE, sure.
So in this paragraph, there is no such contrast.
Yep, there's no
or,
contrast.
contrast.
And
yeah.
is carbon
Author
dioxide
is-
an example here? No.
No,
No.
not at all. And,
And-
they're not even arguing it.
Yeah, it's not like the author has a strong opinion about something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah,
not going to
yeah,
work as well.
that's-
Awesome job. All right, let's go to number 7. This is another factual question. I'll go ahead and do this one. So it says, which of the following is both a cause and a result of erosion? So we're essentially looking for a reason for erosion, but also an effect. So, what is both a reason and an effect? Let's take a look. Glaciers may form in dry areas. Wind is a cause of erosion, thereby even contribute to the forest. Tree roots force their way. In contrast, the roots of another swamp may help to hold loose soil, thereby helping to prevent erosion by the wind. Oh. Do I have the right paragraph here? Under very cold conditions, rocks can be shattered by ice and frost. Glaciers may form in permanently cold and easily cut out valleys, carrying with them huge quantities of road debris. In dry areas, the wind is the principal agent of erosion. It carries fine particles of sand, thereby wearing them yet into more sand. Ah, right here. So it carries fine particles of sand, which bombard exposed rocks, thereby wearing them into yet more sand. The trees may have to hold this. Ah, here we go. Tree roots force their way into cracks and in so doing speed their splitting. In contrast, the roots of grasses and other small plants may help to hold loose so they help to prevent erosion. What the heck is going on? Which of the following is both a cause and result of erosion? It seems like sand is the answer. Is that the correct answer? Is it sand? Ooh, this one's pretty tough. Yeah, it seems like, yeah, it is sand. It is sand. Yeah, this one's pretty tough. So let's talk about where is it the cause? So it's the cause right here. It carries fine particles of sand, which bombard exposed rock surfaces. So that right there is going to be a cause of erosion. Check. But then that is going to wear it into even more sand, which is the result of that erosion. So the correct answer is D. That's a pretty tough one. Hey, Diana, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, Greg, I was like sitting half an hour thinking, about this one.
Half an hour? Wow.
I chose tree roots because I was thinking it says here. Oh, okay. You know why it's not?
Yeah, it's not tree roots because if you look at it says the roots of grasses, not tree roots.
Okay, you know how I was thinking? I don't understand first of all the question. It says both cause and result. What?
Yeah, so it's a reason for erosion, but it also is what happens when there is erosion.
Oh, okay. So the cause and what happened, like a consequence. That's what result.
Pretty much, yeah, exactly. Cause and consequence.
And consequence. Okay, but it said the roots of grasses. No, it's like makes sense to me.
It does. If the answer were roots, like that right there, maybe you could argue for roots, maybe,
No.
but it just says tree roots, and the only information we have about tree roots is that do they cause erosion or do they prevent it?
Both.
No, not both. Just tree roots. Just tree roots. Does it say they cause erosion or they prevent it?
Hold loose soil fragment together or help it prevent.
You're looking at the roots of grasses. Remember, we're looking at tree roots right here. Tree roots.
Force their way into cracks in rocks and in so doing speed their splitting.
Yeah, that's erosion. So they're cause of erosion. Yeah, the only information we have about tree roots is it's a cause. So that's wrong. Yeah, this is a tough one. This is a pretty tough one. Question from Sonia. Hey, Sonia.
Oh, hi, teacher. I'm not Sonia.
You're actually Hyunju.
Oh, yes, I'm Hyunju.
Okay, we were having a bug with the platform where sometimes your name would be connected to Sonia's name, so I got into the habit of saying Sonia when I saw your name. Okay, but that's great. Okay, yeah. Do you have a question, Hyunju?
Why the answer is not A? Because we can see from the passage that carrying with them huge quantities of yellow rock.
Well, so glacial activity is definitely a cause of erosion. I agree with you 100%. What is your evidence that it's a result?
Carrying with them is huge. Oh,
Yeah, you don't have any evidence for that, right?
yes.
Now, if we talk about sand, where is my
Okay.
evidence for cause? So, see where it says here sand right there, which bombard exposed rock surfaces. So, that right there is going to be a cause of erosion. And then it says wearing them into yet more sand. That is going to be the result of the erosion right there.
Mm, okay, okay. I got
Cool.
it. Thank
Yep.
you.
Why did I do result with two T's? I don't know. Any volunteers for this one? This is one of these ones where you have to plug the sentence in. Go to Suvajit. So, Suvajit, what do you notice about the bolded sentence that allows you to kind of figure out the location?
Yeah, I first found out the transition word,
Hmm.
that is the under.
I would even say it's the word another. Can you tell me why?
Okay. Um, because it gives the second means second type of destructive force of
It
erosion.
has to go after something,
Yeah,
right? It has
after
to go
something,
after
yeah.
something. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So what I deduced from this bolded sentence is that before this sentence there must be a description of a climatic condition, or something like that.
Agreed.
Different
Agreed.
climatic condition. Yeah.
Agreed. Because it
And
says different climatic conditions, which
climatic,
means before that, it should be talking about climate somewhere.
climatic somewhere. Yeah. And after this sentence, there must be another type of destructive force of the
Perfect.
erosion. Yeah.
Which answer
So
choice matches both of those things?
yeah. So on those terms, I chose A
I agree.
option.
Because if
Yeah.
you look to the left, we have the
Yeah.
cold areas that
Areas.
matches with climatic conditions. And then
Yeah.
in the right, we have a new climatic condition, dry areas.
Dry area.
And
Areas.
then we have another destructive force.
Destructive force. Yeah.
Awesome
Principal
job.
agent of erosion. Thank you.
Awesome job. Yep. Great job. All right. Great job, everybody. Great job, everybody. This question this question is almost like common sense. Now, this is what we call a detail table. And in this case, in my opinion, you don't really need to go back to the passage because in answering questions 1 through 8, these should be pretty obvious or pretty easy. But basically, what causes things to get bigger or build mountains? It's going to be A. That's when the two plates hit each other right there. We know that sand is a destructive process, so we can put C right there. Earthquakes, we know earthquakes also build mountains, so we're going to put that right there. And then finally, volcanic activity. I mean, that's how Hawaii was built, right? The Hawaiian Islands, for example. So we're going to put that right there. And then finally, we need one more destructive process. That's going to be G, weather processes. The formation of grassroots and soil, that is a prevented erosion thing. So it has nothing to do with constructive or destructive. And separation of continents is just, it doesn't build anything that way. So these are the 5 answers. The thing about this question is if you get all 5 correct, you get 3 points. If you get 4 correct, you get 2 points. Oops. And if you get 3 correct, you get 1 point. I think this data table was pretty straightforward. Does anybody have any questions about this one? All right, moving on. Passage number 2, everybody. So passage number 2 has that main idea summary thing going on. So I identified the main idea of the 4 paragraphs. This is the feeding habits of East African herbivores passage. These were the 4 paragraph main ideas I found. So paragraph number 1, the diets of herbivores are actually different. Different because of different digestive systems, also different because of size, and causes difference in migration patterns. With those main ideas, the 3 answers here should be quite obvious. Does anybody see the 3 answers here? Let's go to Subodh. Subodh, what are the 3 answers here?
I think, sir, it's B, D, and E.
Yep, let's take a look. So B, this talks about size and metabolic rate. D talks about the different digestive systems, and E is about the migration. Perfect. I agree. Great job, Subodh. So this is pretty straightforward. This is clearly the main idea of this paragraph, and this paragraph. This one was pretty straightforward. Any volunteer for these two, number 1 and number 2? So we got the vocab word. We also got this. Let's go to Subodh again. Subodh, what word does illusory mean?
Misleading, sir.
Yep, it means misleading. Very good. Okay. How about this one? Which of the following questions is not answered about Richard Bell's research?
Sir, I did it with elimination technique and
Yep.
I got the answer D.
Okay, so that means 3 answers are true, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and one of them is not true. You're saying D is not true. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, so that means A, B, and C are true, right?
Yes.
Okay. Where does it say which of the herbivores studied is the only one to eat a lot of fruit?
Um, Well found that only one the only one with
No, you're right. Right here. Bell found that only Thompson's gazelles eat much of these, and of course, we're talking about fruit. Okay, so that one's out.
yes.
Which part of the plants do wildebeests prefer to eat? What part would that be? The wildebeests?
Wildebeest eats the most leaves.
I'm looking for it.
Wildebeest eat last
Yeah.
last line.
Last
Wildebeest
line.
eat-
Wildebeest eat the most leaves. Yep, very good. Good job. And then finally, where did the study happen?
Sir, it's East Africa.
Yeah. The Serengeti.
Serengeti.
The Serengeti of East Africa. Very good.
Yes, sir.
Awesome job. Thank you, Subodh. Great job. Okay, let's go to these. Any volunteers for these two? So we got another vocab word, and then we have an author's purpose question. Does anyone want to do these two? Going once, going twice. Suvajit to the rescue. What's associated mean?
Associated means connected.
Connected.
Yeah.
So the next one, the author mentions the cow and the horse. Let's find out where that's even mentioned. Where does the author talk about the cow and the horse?
Here the such as zebra, which is digestive system like a horse. Yeah,
Yep.
cow. Yeah.
Okay, so we have to kind of ask ourselves, why would the author include these two things? What do you think?
Yeah. Here the entire passage author just described the two different digestive systems.
Mhm.
One is ruminants, another one is non-ruminants.
Exactly. So
So
in everything the author does is going to support that idea, right?
yeah,
That they have
exactly.
different digestive
And
systems, et
digestive
cetera, et cetera.
systems.
Yeah. So what's the
So
answer?
C.
Yeah, the
C.
answer is C right there.
Yeah.
And of course, what does illustrate mean?
Illustrate means giving example.
Give an example, which this clearly is, right? Like a,
Yeah.
like the.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why is D wrong? Are they talking about similarities?
There between their similarities between the diets of cow and horses. They are speaking the similarities between the two, but they actually have the two different digestive system.
Right. So
how
this
that
is not similarities.
is not
Yeah.
similarity. Yeah.
Distinguish works, but the problem here is it focuses on distinguish the functioning.
Functioning. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's not exactly what's going on here.
Mhm.
And then this is talking about size, which is just off topic, right?
Off topic.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Great job. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll go ahead and do these two right here. Paragraph 2 suggests that which of the following is one of the most important factors in determining differences in feeding preferences of East African herbivores. So this is an inference question, and we're looking to find what exactly distinguishes these differences in the feeding preferences. And this entire paragraph is about the digestive system. So it looks like the correct answer has to be B, the differences in stomach structure. But let's just confirm that. Then there's special structure. Let's see, what else do we got? Yeah, it looks like it has to be something with structure. So the correct answer has to be that one right there. All right, so that's pretty easy. That one's pretty easy. Let's look at number 6. According to paragraph 2, all of the following are true of East African gazelles. So again, 3 of these answers are going to be true, and 1 of them is going to be false. So we actually have to find where it talks about the East African gazelles. So let's find where they first mention the East African gazelles. Where are you, gazelles? Scanning technique. Where does it talk about the gazelles? I'm looking. Ah, here we go. Gazelle. Okay. So the gazelle is a ruminant. That's one mention of it. And gazelle, right there, there's another mention of it. Okay, hopefully that is enough information. All right, here we go. What do we know about the gazelle? The gazelle is a ruminant, which is like a cow. Non-ruminants cannot extract from the harvest. However, this is more than fast speed, which is okay. Let's go to the ruminants. Thus, the wildebeest and gazelle enjoy an advantage. They are ruminants and have a special structure which contains that can break down the hard parts of plants. Looks pretty good. That's true. Which contains food passes only slowly. So it looks like this is going to be the false one. Yeah. Yeah, they have to continue to chew it, and they survive well if the food is sparse, short supply of food right there. Yep. So the correct answer is A, they digest their food very quickly. That's true of the non-ruminants. That's true of like the zebra and the horse. All right, easy enough. Let's go to number 7. The phrase provided that, I mean, that's just going to mean what? That's just going to mean as long as, just memorize that vocabulary knowledge. Moving on to number 8. Any volunteers for this one? Factual question. So this is where you have to find direct detail in the passage. Going once. All right, let's go to Subodh. Subodh, what is a fact about wildebeest?
Sir, I choose option C that they tend to choose feeding area and vegetation has been worn out.
Okay, where is your evidence for that?
Wildebeest follow in their migration that and the larger the less fastest feeder zebra move in the first, they choose the chooser smaller wildebeest come later, and the smallest species of all arrives late. That.
Yep, so the choosier, smaller wildebeest come later, and the smallest species of all, Thompson's gazelle, arrives last. The later species all depend on the preparations of the earlier one, for the actions of the zebra alter the vegetation to suit the stomachs of the wildebeest. Exactly correct. So it looks like the correct answer is going to be C right there, because of course the zebra is like pushing it down, right? Stuff like that.
Yes.
Cool. Well done. Well done. Easy enough. Number 9, any volunteers for a sentence addition? Suvajit, you're pretty good at these. Let's go to Suvajit. What do you notice about this bolded sentence?
Yeah, I noticed that the sequencing is the language. So da is the the pronoun.
There is no transition word, right?
No, no transition.
Yeah. Now,
So
the
it's a
is not a pronoun. The is an
Oh,
article.
okay.
The is an
Okay.
article. It sometimes will refer to something before, but sometimes it
Yeah.
won't. Sometimes it won't.
Okay.
So
Okay.
in this case, it actually doesn't. So in this
Okay.
case, we don't have a transition word or a pronoun. What should we do? Is this a general idea or a specific idea?
I think specific because it talks about a specific sequence that correlates with the body size.
It actually doesn't. I would call this a general
Okay.
idea, because what kind of body
Okay.
sizes do you have? You have small, medium,
Okay.
large,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Yeah, so this is actually going to be a general idea.
General idea.
And what comes
Okay.
after it?
something related to body size.
Yep, exactly. So with that in mind, what matches?
Uh, it matches option D because
Yep.
they said the larger, less fastidious feeders, zebras moving first.
Yeah, it says
So-
larger, then it says smaller, blah blah blah.
And even before that also they have the sequence as well. The new area.
Yeah, you're
they will
right. Yeah,
migrate
yeah,
and
okay.
Migrate.
Yeah, you're
They're
right.
Sequencing. In
No, I
sequence, they're
get you.
finding new area. The mammals migrate. And
I like it. I like it. Yeah. So I take that back. You're right. The sequence is probably referring to this idea that they migrate towards
Migrate.
something.
yeah, that's the thing.
Cool. Well done.
And also the order, and also the word order. Set an order to explore.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I think the way that I would probably attack this is with the phrase body size.
Yeah,
But no, I definitely think you're right. The sequence matching with migrate toward is additional evidence, right?
yeah. That's
Yeah, great job. All right, I think we have time to look at one more passage. I gave you 4 passages for homework. The 4th passage we probably don't have time to look at. I'll just make like a short video that I'll put on the study plan. Does anybody have any questions about this passage or anything about TOEFL reading? Going once. Subodh, what's up, Subodh?
Sir, I missed the explanation by you of geology and landscape question number 9. Can you please repeat that?
Let's go back, sure. Okay, so constructive, does that mean building or not building?
Building, sir.
Building. And then destructive means to destroy, right?
Yes.
So this essentially means equals erosion, right? According to the passage, what causes erosion?
Collision of earth crustal plates, destruction.
So if you actually go back to the passage where it talks about the plates, I think it's like paragraph number 1. Here we go.
Yes.
So what does it say? Some mountains were formed. So does that sound like constructive or erosion?
And crashing into each other and forcing up the rock.
Yeah,
at
so
plate
is it
margins.
creating something or destroying something?
Okay, creating.
It's creating new mountains, right? You know, like Mount Everest and the Himalayas and all that stuff. So in this case, the constructive processes are going to be earthquakes as well. Earthquakes can also create mountains. And how about volcanoes? Volcanoes can build islands, right? Think about Hawaii and stuff like that. So it's going to be AEF. Now, what causes erosion? According to this, it's going to be the sand from the wind, but also the rain and the wind and the weather and all that stuff. Yeah. So that's going to be erosion. Does that make sense?
And sir, yes, that meant. And B, sir, separation of continents, that doesn't count under destruction.
It's neither. It's neither. It's not going to be constructive nor destructive. And the same thing with the roots. Answer choice D, it's neither. Cool. All right, let's go to our last passage. All right, so here's our last passage. Remember, what we want to do is we want to get the main idea of each paragraph because we have that summary question number 10. So these were the main ideas I found. Fuller was more than just a dancer. Her dancing focused on movement and colors. It rejected the traditional forms. She experienced most of her success in Paris. Big innovator in dance, always experimenting. Her dancing became more complex with time. She inspired other dancers. With those 6 ideas, any volunteer want to choose the 3 correct answers? Let's go to Suvajit. Hey, Suvajit, what you got?
Yeah, I got C.
Yep, that's the last paragraph. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then it's D.
D, you said, right?
Yeah.
Yep, D matches with innovation and experiment. Yep.
Environmental, yeah. And yeah, E also works.
Yep, and E also works because that's going to match with this idea that her
Yeah.
dancing became more complex with time, right?
Complex.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Great job. Diana has a question. Hey, Diana.
Yeah, I made a mistake because I chose also A because it says had lost had lost interest in most theatrical dance. It's
Maybe
actually-
that's true. Maybe it's
Yeah.
true. But is it the main idea of a paragraph that audience had lost interests?
no, it's not the main.
Yeah.
Wait, this is the first paragraph. Yeah, it says like it was.
Let's see, do I
unfulfilling.
have the first paragraph? Right here. So the main idea, first of all, does it say the audience found it boring or she did?
She did.
Yeah, but if you actually look at answer choice A, it says the audience found it boring. So even in that case, it's a little bit wrong.
Okay, no problem.
Yep. Yeah, so you kind of have to read these words quite carefully because the idea can change quite subtly. All right, what can be inferred from paragraph 1 about theatrical dance in the late 19th century? So clearly there's not a lot of evidence here, so it should be pretty straightforward. She found theatrical dance unfulfilling. She considered herself an artist rather than a mere entertainer. So that kind of tells me that theatrical dance was more about entertainment than it was about artistic. So let's take a look. Yeah, it looks like the correct answer has to be C. It was more a form of entertainment than a form of serious art. You might ask yourself, why is this called an inference? Because what this is saying is that theatrical dance was entertainment. But if you actually go back to the passage, does it say that theatrical dance was entertainment? No, it doesn't. It says that she considered herself an artist rather than a mere entertainer. She also didn't like theatrical dance at the time. So we can put those two ideas together to say theatrical dance matches entertainment, if that makes sense. Let's do this one together. So all of the following are characteristic of Fuller's type of dance, except, so remember, 3 of these are going to be true. 1 of these is going to be false or not true. So here we go. So shifting play of lights and colors. All right. Probably experimentation using color. That looks good. Voluminous skirts. That means big costumes. So that's going to be true as well. Continuous motion, constant motion, continuous movement right there. She rejected the technical virtuosity. Yeah, she rejected this. So the correct answer has to be D. Number 3, any volunteers for this one? Rephrasing. So what you would do is you would identify the ideas, and then you would kind of do them one by one. Subhajit, what's the first idea?
That what theoretical career did that the early theatrical career of the actress was good.
Does it say that?
No, it's bad. I think stints. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
No, stints just means periods. That's all. It just means
Okay,
jobs.
okay.
Yeah, so this first
Okay.
idea just says
It's an
in her
actress.
early career, she also
Yeah.
worked as an actress. Yeah,
Actress,
that's all. Okay. What's the
Uh,
next idea?
And then next idea, it says that she was interested in storytelling and expressing emotions.
She was or what not? Or was not?
Oh, was not.
Yeah,
actually.
word of Zeus, right?
Was
Word
not
of Zeus.
Primarily, yeah. Not primarily interested in storytelling and emotions through the dance.
Right. What was she
So-
interested in? What's the third idea?
The interest of visual effects.
Yeah, she was
interested in
she was
visual-
interested in like the drama coming from her dancing, not from storytelling or
Yeah,
from
yeah.
emotions, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So
What do you think?
directly option A matches because here it says that Fuller was interested in dance.
More
Visual impact.
more.
Interested.
Yeah. Mhm.
Interested in visual impact. Then the narrative and emotional possibilities. That is, narrative matches with the word storytelling,
Beautiful.
and the emotional possibilities expressing emotions.
Great job.
So
Yep,
that's the
exactly.
option.
Well done. Well done. So I think Subhajit's doing a really good job at what we call the vocab matching game. By connecting narrative to storytelling, emotional possibilities to emotions, expression emotions. So that's really what this is at the end of the day. It's just a lot of vocab matching. Number 4, synthesize. What does that mean? Of course, that means to bring together. So that's going to be integrate right there. This is a factual question. According to paragraph 3, why was Fuller's work well received in Paris? So we're looking for the reason why her work was popular in Paris. Here we go. She achieved her greatest glory in Paris, where she was engaged. Many of her dances represented and thus accorded well with the fashion. It looks right here. Many of her dances represented elements or natural objects and thus went well with the fashionable Art Nouveau style, which emphasized blah, blah, blah. It also attracted French poets and painters, blah, blah, blah. Let's take a look. Tried to no. Flores and Bartok, no. Yeah, it looks like D. Fuller's dances were in harmony. That's going to match with accorded well. With the artistic values, that's going to match with Art Nouveau style, already present in Paris. So the correct answer is D. Does synthesis mean simplify? No. Whenever you synthesize something or bring a synthesis, it means to bring things together. It doesn't necessarily mean to simplify. Any volunteers for this one? Factual question. Why was Fuller's fire dance attractive? Or why did people note it? Go to Subodh. What's the evidence?
A glass illuminated from underneath.
Yeah, where does it talk about the fire dance? It talks about right here.
Yes.
Okay. So caught the eye. Let's take a look. Yep. Frosted glass illuminated from underneath. Okay, what's the answer?
C. Yes, sir.
Yep, technique of lighting the dancer from beneath. Let's take a look. Underlighting. Awesome job. Yep. Great job, Subodh. Let me ask you guys a question. Does the TOEFL seem a little bit easier now? At least the reading part? Hopefully it does. Because remember, there's like various strategies you can apply here, various things you can do. So hopefully it's getting to a point where you're finding the reading to be a little bit easier. Diana has a question. Hey, Diana.
Yeah, I just would like to share my opinion. So
Sure.
I took it correct, but you know what? It's the real test. The passages are not going to be like about like personalities. Like for example, this one dancer. The majority of them are all like about biology, or chemistry, or some scientific. So it has nothing to do like this is like easy, this one, for example.
Yeah, but
But the real-
remember, no strategy of ours depends on content. So we're never saying like in a literature passage you use this strategy, and in a science passage you use this strategy. So the strategies that we teach can apply to every type of passage.
Agreed, yeah. But still, on the real test, like we have to be prepared. It has nothing to do like with literature. Like seriously, it's all about science and like.
Yeah,
it's-
yeah. So, but the process is still going to be the same. Like when you come across those paragraphs, you're still looking for main idea. When you come across a sentence addition question, you're still looking for pronouns and transition words and things like that, right? Yeah. Cool. All right, let's go to number 7. Why does the author mention Fuller's The Sea? So where do we find the sea, right here? So remember, why does an author do anything? It's just to support his or her idea, either before or after. So let's read from before. As her technological expertise grew more sophisticated, so did other aspects of her dances. So this is about the whole idea that she became more complex, right? So it looks like the answer already has to be C. Has anyone checked the answer key? Is this correct? Is this the correct answer? To illustrate a particular way in which she developed as an artist? It seems like it is. Because look, she began to address more ambitious themes, etc., 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 right there. So as you can see, just by using the opening line or the main idea of the paragraph, I can land on this answer rather quickly. Because remember, why does an author do anything? An author does something to support his or her point. So if his or her point is Loie Fuller became more complex in her career, all of the examples are going to support that idea. Number 8, according to paragraph 6, what was true of Fuller's theater at the Paris Exposition? Let's take a look at her theater. So she owned it. She had her own theater. In addition, she presented pantomimes. So she also allowed Sada Yoko to perform. She assembled an all-female company, so it was all women, and established a school, but neither survived her. So they did not survive. So they went away. It looks like the correct answer has to be A. It presented some works that were not by Fuller. She presented pantomimes by the Japanese actress. Male? No, it was all female. Is named in honor of Fuller? Does it actually say that? It was named in her honor? No, the theater wasn't named in her honor or the school, so that doesn't make sense. It continued to operate? No, because it said it did not survive. So the correct answer has to be A, right there. Last one. Any volunteers for this one? Let's go to Suvajit. Suvajit, as is tradition, what in this sentence tells you location?
I haven't actually got anything of the transition.
Yep,
and
no transitions. I agree. How about pronouns?
Actually, I didn't find any.
Yep, I don't see really any helpful pronouns either,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
means
yeah.
we have to ask ourselves, is this a general idea or a specific idea?
I guess it's specific because her originality in dance is specifying about.
Well, that's not the main idea. The main idea is going to be this part
Okay.
right here. Her
Okay,
interest
okay.
expanded into do we know what this emerging artistic media is? Have they labeled it yet?
Yeah, after this sentence, they had.
Right, exactly. So I'm
Artistic
asking
media
you,
after
this
the sentence.
sentence, is it general or specific?
Oh, then it becomes general. I mean.
General, because after
yeah.
this, what do they do?
Yes.
They do
They
something,
will mention artistic media or something.
examples of it, right? Something very
Examples.
specific. Yeah. Okay, so which answer choice does this?
I think option D because the artistic media matches with the appeared in films.
Yep, very good.
Then stage development
Very
and all
good.
those things, and they also means before this sentence also they actually mentions the originality of the dance because of the scientific and technology innovations.
Yep.
She also means incorporated Marie Curie's radium as a radium dance and all those things.
Yep, great job. Well done.
That's why. Thank you, Greg.
So yeah, I mean, hopefully at this stage you're starting to think that TOEFL reading is a little bit more straightforward than you originally thought. Remember, every question type has a technique that you can apply. So yeah, that's it. I'll make a short video going through the fourth passage that we had for homework. Next week or the week after, I might take the next week off just so I can work on PrepSwift and do some other projects. But the week after, we're going to start listening, everybody, listening. Let's go to Subodh. Hey, Subodh has a question. What's up?
Sir, can you eliminate B option for me because I marked it B.
Yeah, so let's talk about why B is wrong, okay? All right. So notice before B, they talk about, let's take a look. So let's imagine that you put this sentence here. That means after this sentence, you have to talk about a new artistic media, which means right after this sentence, you have to see a new artistic media. Do you see that in that sentence?
She began to address more ambitious theme.
That's not a
such as the
media. Media is like TV, movies, books. Media is like the way we consume something, social media, TV. So yeah, if you actually look at this sentence, there's no media. Question from Diana. Hey, Diana.
Hey, Greg. So if next week after is going to be about listening, the homework is going to be also related to listening.
Of course, yeah. But I'm also going to be giving reading homework just so we can keep fresh. You know, because we don't want to forget everything we did in reading, and we still have a lot of reading material. I mean, we still have everything from the Volume 1 practice test book. Yeah, we have a ton of stuff.
So where should I like go to? Like where should I find it?
You'll find everything in the TOEFL study plan.
It's like okay.
Yep. All right, everybody, this was fun. Like I said, I might be taking the next week off just because I want to work on some other projects. But the next time we meet, hey everybody, sorry about the delay in getting this homework review video out. So in this video, we're going to be talking about the passage Green Icebergs. So this comes from practice test 2 in the official guide to the TOEFL IBT 6th edition. I haven't actually looked at the answer key or done this passage yet, so you're going to see it kind of like live without a lot of preparation, kind of get my thinking on the fly. So you guys know the first thing that I like to do is find the main idea of every paragraph. So let's take a look at number 1 and number 2. Icebergs are massive blocks of ice. They float. They're formed by glaciers. The melting and causes. Okay, so this is basically just an overview of what icebergs are. So overview of icebergs. It doesn't really seem like this is the author's main point. It seems like the author's building up to it. Icebergs are ordinarily blue to white, although they sometimes appear dark or opaque, so that's normal, the normal color. They may change color with changing light conditions in cloud cover, glowing pink or gold, but this color change is generally related to the low angle of the sun. Now here's the main point right here. See this, however? If you are familiar with the GRE, we call this the hammer. However, travelers to Antarctica have repeatedly reported seeing green icebergs in the Weddell Sea and more commonly close to the seashell. So basically, these green icebergs are kind of like special. That's the main idea here. These green icebergs are special. And we can infer that the color is not related to the light because that leads to pink or gold. But in this case, green is kind of unusual or unique. Okay, let's go to the next paragraph. One explanation for a green iceberg. So obviously, this is going to be the main idea. It's the explanation. So this is paragraph 3. So this is kind of the possible reason. Keep in mind, this is just like one possible reason, not the reason. So, because they're using the word one. It's a optical illusion. Okay, so basically it's kind of like an illusion. They're not really green. Not really green. Okay, what causes the illusion? Oh, then they have another one. Oh, okay, so there's actually 2 reasons. So this is reason 1. What is reason 2? The color might be related to ice with high levels of metallic compounds. So basically, maybe there's like a lot of metal inside. So that might cause it to be green. Recent expeditions have taken green as a from the glacier analysis to provide different. Okay, so basically both of these are wrong. So that's kind of the main idea. Both are wrong. Because the main idea here is going to be analyses of these cores provide a different solution. Okay, let's go to this one. The ice shelf cores, is that the next one? Yeah. The ice shelf cores with a total length of 2 were long enough to penetrate through glacial ice. So basically they're collecting evidence. The properties of this were very similar to those from the green iceberg. Here we go, this is going to be the main idea. The scientists concluded that green icebergs form when a 2-layer block of ice, of shelf ice, breaks away and capsizes, exposing the bubble-free shelf ice that was formed from seawater. So basically, we can draw a picture. Sometimes when you do the main idea, it's a good idea to draw a picture. So we have this kind of 2-layer iceberg. So obviously, this is going to be it breaks away, exposing the bubble-free that was formed from. So basically, this is the side that is exposed to seawater. But then what happens is it kind of flips upside down. So now we have it upside down. And this was the side that originally had the seawater, and it says that it's bubble-free, so there's no bubbles up here. And that was caused from the seawater somehow. A green iceberg that's stranded just west showed 2 distinct layers. Okay, we just said that. Bubbly blue white ice and bubble-free gray separated by... Okay, so again, draw the picture. So you have like the bubble free here and then the bubbly blue white ice. The green ice portion was textured by seawater erosion. Again, this is where the seawater originally was. The color was light green because of light scattering. Okay, so where no cracks were present, the color was dark green. No air bubbles were present in the green ice, suggesting that the ice was not formed from the compression of snow, but instead from the freezing of seawater. So again, it's just the contact of the seawater. They keep saying that over and over. Large concentrations of single-celled organisms with green pigments occur along the edges of the ice shelves in this region, and the seawater is rich in their decompose. So basically, it's a bunch of like, organic material, decomposing organisms from the ocean. The green iceberg did not contain large amounts of particles from these organisms, but the ice had accumulated dissolved organic matter from the seawater. It appears that unlike salt, dissolved organic substances are not excluded from the ice in the freezing process. So basically, they're stuck. They're kind of stuck in there. Analysis shows that the dissolved organic material absorbs enough blue wavelengths from solar light to make the ice appear green. So the true solution, the reason why they appear green, is because they flip upside down and expose the seawater side, and that's where a lot of the organic material had gathered. And because of that, this organic material absorbs enough blue wavelengths to make the ice appear green. And this is the final two paragraphs. Chemical evidence shows that then creates to form a slush. The slush is compacted by an unknown mechanism, and solid bubble-free ice is formed from hot water high when an iceberg separates on the green. So again, this is just more information. It's more information about how the green ice is formed. I don't really care about it. The Ameri ice shelf appears to be uniquely, so it's unique, that's a pretty big idea, suited to the production of green icebergs. Once detached from the ice shelf, these bergs drift in the currents and wind systems surrounding Antarctica and can be found scattered among Antarctica's less colorful icebergs. So clearly this is a big idea, the idea that it's unique. Okay, so now that we have the main ideas, let's actually recap. So we got this overview of icebergs. Green icebergs are special. Two possible reasons: it's an illusion, a lot of metal. Both of these are wrong. The true reason is the two-layer iceberg flips over, and then the no bubble side, this is where the seawater was. If we come down here, like a bunch of organic matter gets stuck there and absorbs blue lengths, make the ice appear green. This is just more information about that. And then finally, this ice shelf is unique. All right, here we go. In a green iceberg, the sea ice contains large concentrations of organic matter from the seawater. Maybe. Let's skip that one. That kind of seems like a main idea. Green icebergs are white until they come into contact with seawater containing platelets and soluble organic green pigments. Again, that's true. I don't know if it's a main idea. Let's skip it. Ice cores and samples revealed that both ice shelves and green icebergs contain a layer of bubbly glacial ice and a layer of bubble-free sea ice. Again, I think that's probably true. Let's skip that one as well. Remember, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to find things that are clearly wrong or clearly right. It's okay to skip things. It's not the end of the world. Green icebergs form when a two-layer block of ice breaks away from a glacier and capsizes, exposing the bottom sea ice to view. This is clearly a main idea. That's a big one right there. All ice shelves, we know this is clearly wrong. Do you see what I'm saying? Kind of the power of skipping. Because remember, the last paragraph says it's unique. Ice cores were used to determine that green icebergs were formed from the compaction. No, this is also clearly wrong. Metallic compounds. Because remember, they said, no, this solution is wrong. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to choose two of these. We can go about this in a couple of ways. We can look for the right answer, or we can try to eliminate the wrong answer. So let's take a look and see if we can eliminate anything. So the first idea, ice cores and samples revealed that both ice shelves and green icebergs contain a layer of bubbly glacial ice and a layer of bubble. Okay, let's go to the ice core passage. To penetrate, which is formed into the clear, formed for the fissure. Yep. Yeah, so the properties of this clear sea ice were very similar to the ice from the green iceberg. So they took the cores only from the ice shelf. They didn't really take a core from the iceberg itself. Oh, here we go. Recent experts have taken ice samples from green icebergs and ice cores. Along analysis. Okay. All All right, so let's go back to this one. Ice cores and samples revealed that both ice shelves and green icebergs contain a layer of bubbly glacial. I mean, that looks correct, but I'm still not confident to choose it. Green icebergs are white until they come into contact with seawater containing platelets and soluble organic pigments. Does it ever say green icebergs are white? You ever see that anywhere? Green icebergs are white. They're normally blue to white. They may change or it's seeing green more commonly. Where does it say they are white? Again, that one seems kind of wrong to me. In a green iceberg, the CI contains large concentrations. Is it large concentrations? Does it say large concentrations? Large concentrations, yeah. So for me, I'm thinking that E is going to be the wrong answer. So E is going to be the wrong answer, and we want to choose this one and this one. Because again, it never really says that green icebergs are white. So, you kind of have to be very careful with the way you approach this to make sure you get the 3 right answers. Okay, I have just checked the answer key only for that problem, only for number 10, which this is, and the correct answers are C, D, and F. And again, you could kind of see how careful I was with skipping and making sure that I was getting the right answer. And again, if you're having trouble with this, just go to other problems. Just go to other problems. There's no point in staying on this problem for like 6 minutes or whatever. If you come back to it, it might become more obvious. Okay, now we get some gimmies. So penetrate, of course, is going to mean to go through something. That's going to match with pierce. Excluded means to kind of keep somebody away or push them out. So that's going to go with kept out. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. The next thing we want to do is this question. It's called the sentence addition question. The reason why I like these questions is because I typically find them pretty easy because there's always going to be some kind of location key word here that allows me to determine where exactly it should go. So let's take a look at the bolded sentence. Scientists have differed as to whether icebergs appear green as a result of light conditions or because of something in the ice itself. So this seems like solution number 1. Remember that we talked about possible solution number 1? And this seems like possible solution number 2, which was the metallic compounds. So it seems like this sentence has to go before the solutions. So it seems like the correct answer is going to be B, because notice right after that you have the first explanation, and then you have another suggestion right here. So the correct answer in this case is going to be B. This is why I like these problems. They're pretty straightforward, as you can see. All right, this is a factual question. These are the questions I like to do next because the evidence is clearly in the passage. Now, this is a negative factual question. What that means is 3 of these answers are going to be true. 1 of them is going to be false, and I'm going to eliminate the true ones. So according to paragraph 1, all of the following are true of icebergs except. So what does it tell us about icebergs? Number 1, they're massive and irregular. So they do not have a regular shape. That is true. They float with only about 12% of their mass above the sea surface. So most of their mass is below the sea surface. A little bit is above. Most of their mass is above this. No, this is wrong. So that means this is clearly the correct answer because this is the one that's not true. So this one is also true. Let's confirm it. Are they formed where glaciers meet the ocean? Let's see. They're formed by glaciers. Large rivers rise that begin and move slowly toward the sea. Yep, right there. Waves and tides cause them to break off. Waves and tidal action cause. Yep, so that is also true. So in this case, the correct answer is going to be C. This is the one that is not true. Okay, let's go to the next one. The next one is number 2. Again, another factual question. According to paragraph 2, what causes icebergs to sometimes appear dark or opaque? So the reason why you want to focus on the word dark and opaque because it tells you where to look. So it's going to be right here. And we're looking for the reason. So clearly that's going to start with because they carry gravel and bits of rock. Well, there you go. That's the answer. The presence of cracks? No. The low angle? No. A heavy cloud cover? No. The presence of gravel? Yeah, literally, it says it right there, literally. So as you can see, that one's pretty straightforward. According to paragraph 4, another factual question. How is glacial sea ice formed? So what causes it to get created? So let's take a look. Okay, glacial ice, here we go, which is formed from the compaction of snow and contains air bubbles. So it's formed from the compaction of snow, which means snow is just like, stacking on top of other snow, and it's just like compacting it down and down and down. So it looks like the correct answer is clearly going to be A. The freezing of seawater, no. Breaking away, no. Capsizing, no. So again, this is why I like the factual questions. They're pretty straightforward, as you can see. Next one, again, another factual question. According to paragraph 5, ice shelf cores helped scientists explain the formation of green icebergs by showing that. So what did the ice shelf cores show? Let's take a look. Were long enough, so they were long. That doesn't say they showed anything. And to continue into the clear bubble-free sea ice formed. So it went through 2 layers. So 2 layers. The properties of this clear sea ice were very similar to the ice from the green iceberg. So the ice core allowed them to compare to the green iceberg. The scientists concluded that green icebergs form when a 2-layer block of shelf ice breaks away and capsizes, exposing the bubble-free ice. So basically, it helped determine that the 2-layer system, So the ice was very similar at the bottom near the ocean, and from that core, they were able to determine that that's probably what's going on with the green iceberg after it capsizes and exposes the ocean side to the air. So it seems like that's what's going on. The clear sea ice at the bottom is similar to ice from a green iceberg. Yep, I mean, that looks pretty good. Glacial ice is lighter. No. Bubble-free ice is found it's found at the bottom. The ice at the bottom is bubble-free ice formed from frozen seawater. So they do say it's bubble-free ice, but they don't say it's formed from frozen seawater. Let's see. Yes, it does. And to continue the clear bubble-free ice formed from seawater that freezes onto the bottom of the glacial ice. Okay, so that is true, actually. Ooh, this is kind of an interesting one. That is true. So we know this is wrong, we know this is wrong, and we know this is true as well. So what did the ice cores show about the formation of green icebergs? So you'll notice this here. Let's take a look. Ooh, this is a tricky one. The ice shelf cores were long enough to, which is formed and continue into the clear bubble-free ice formed from seawater that freezes at the bottom of glacial ice. The properties of this clear sea ice were very... Oh, the cores were not taken from the green icebergs. They were taken from the ice shelf cores. Yes. So it can't be A. Ooh, tricky. Ooh, that's a tricky one. Okay, so the correct answer has to be D. All right, I think this is the last one, or there's 2 more. Yeah, there's 2 more. So this one says the passage supports which of the following statements? I call this a factual question because they're using the word supports. So whatever we choose has to be a true statement here. Whatever we choose has to be true. So it's kind of like a factual question. Okay, so let's take a look. The passage supports which of the following statements about the shelf? We know it's unique, right? But that doesn't say this. Oh, so this is just about the passage in general. Oh, okay, so this paragraph is actually not even helpful. The Ameri ice shelf produces only green icebergs. No, green icebergs are only produced there. Produces because the ice contains high levels. No, remember the metallic is wrong, so that explanation is wrong. The Ameri ice shelf produces because the seawater is rich in a particular... That looks pretty good. Remember, it's about the organic. No green icebergs are found far away. No, we know that's not true because they float all around, right? Remember they said they float all around? So this one has to be C. So these questions are kind of annoying because they require knowledge of the entire passage. The good news is all of this information, at least the correct information, is in that short paragraph at the very end. Okay, last one, everybody. Why does the author mention that green ice portion was textured by seawater erosion? So what we're doing here on this one is the author's purpose. Like, why did the author do something? What is the author's intent?
Nah.
So why did the author say this? The good news is the author's always trying to make a point around this highlighted part. A green iceberg that's stranded just west showed two distinct layers. Okay. The green ice portion was textured. And then where cracks were present, the color was light green because of light scattering. Where no cracks were present, the color was dark green. No air bubbles were present in the green ice, suggesting that the ice was not formed from the compression of snow, but instead from the freezing of seawater. So basically, they're just telling us why the bottom of the green iceberg is green. That's what I'm getting here. Yeah. To explain how the air bubbles had been removed. No, they didn't remove anything, so that's wrong. To support the idea that the green ice had been at the bottom layer before. We know this is true. Remember, before it capsized, before it turned over, the green was at the bottom. To suggest that green ice is more easily, they never do a comparison. They never do a comparison to white ice. To explain why cracks in the iceberg appeared light green instead of dark green. So the cracks was not about, let's see. Where cracks were present, the color was light green because of light scattering. Where no cracks were present, the color was instead the ice was not formed, but instead. So they don't tell us why the cracks. To explain why. No. The cracks appeared light green or dark green because of light scattering, not because of seawater erosion. So no, this is, ooh, that's a tricky one too. Yeah, that's a pretty tough one. So it seems like the correct answer has to be C. All right, guys, I think that's it. I think we did it. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, and sorry the delay in getting it to you.